Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. I'm Will Hubner here with Mark Mashashik. Got a big episode today. We got
a lot of sports.
Yep, go Tigers, big Tiger Showdown. We're going to go through NFL playoffs, kind of
It's a
bummer.
Football time of year.
And then
Hark the Ravens.
A little bit of baseball coming back too.
Nevermore.
All right, let's start with the game probably everybody's watching right now.
Yep, Tiger versus Tiger.
LSU, yeah. What do you think overall? Just gut feeling who's going to win this game.
An unstoppable offense versus an unstoppable offense. How can you even predict? LSU's probably a little bit better on defense, but I'm rooting. I'm going to stick with my gut from the beginning. I'll stick with Clemson. I think on paper LSU's a better team, but let's go with the early prediction. I'll stick with Clemson.
Oh, I'm going LSU for sure.
Yeah, we got to have something to argue about, right?
Yeah, but even the whole, if we go back a couple episodes ago, we're talking about which team should get in, which one shouldn't get in. I think I made a comment that if Clemson lost one game, they don't deserve to get into this tournament, the playoffs, because they haven't beaten anybody.
And I made the point that they should be in because they're so good they can beat these teams.
Yeah, and then they proved it with their win to Ohio State, which I thought Ohio State would beat them. And there's a little bit of controversy with that game, but they proved that they're still an extremely talented team. But I think LSU is a better team all year. They've proven it time and time again. They've beaten many more. I think they've beaten 4 or 5 ranked teams this year.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not just beating teams. They're crushing teams.
But deserving is different from who's going to win. Clemson deserves to be here. They haven't lost since October of 2017. That was a long time ago.
We've got some NFL prospects in tonight's game. You want to run through some of those guys that we should be looking for?
Oh, my God. It's just all day, every day. It's just they've got 5 receivers probably in this game that will be first-round picks at some point, headed by T. Higgins on the Tigers. Ross on the Tigers is probably just as good, just another classman and won't be in this draft. But and on the other side, Justin Jeffries will be a first-round pick, and the younger freshman or sophomore there on LSU as well. So obviously we've talked about the quarterbacks, how they're both going to be top picks. So 2 very high-flying offenses. They both can run the ball. Etienne among the leaders in the nation in rushing. And, very exciting offensive game. LSU's probably a little tighter on the defense. Got a lot of good young players. Stingley, the corner at LSU, again, freshman player who didn't even play corner in high school at all, first time playing freshman, just shut down half the field all year, the entire year long. Can't come out, still young players. Going to have another year. And Fulton across from him, upperclassman who's been great. It's just there's fantastic talent all over the field.
Lawrence, probably the best player in today's game, not eligible to come out until next year.
Quarterback for sure, but I mean, you got young guys like this guy Stingley and LSU. You can argue talent versus talent. These are going to be guys that we expect to be high-flying top Pro Bowl talents in the NFL level.
Well, let me ask you a question here. So Joe Burrow, consensus #1 pick right now. He's a shoo-in for the Bengals. As far as every expert, I haven't seen any predictions that he shouldn't go #1.
Right.
He's got a game tonight, championship game. My first thought is, should he play? There should be some thought as to whether he should play or not tonight.
Yeah, he should definitely play.
Why?
It's a national championship.
If he goes out there and gets hurt, it's risky. You're risking a lot of money for a college championship.
Money's not everything.
If he doesn't play tonight and you're the Bengals, are you changing your pick at all?
I think if you were to ask me tonight, I would say, yeah, I don't want a guy who's not a gamer. And I don't think Coach Orgeron would not let him play. Orgeron would grab him by the face mask and throw him onto the field and yell at him to play, probably would. But if I was the Bengals, I would probably be turned off by it right now. I want a gamer. But, the courting process for drafting a quarterback is long. I think he could win you back over by looking good. But, yeah, no, nobody's not going to play in the national championship.
I don't know. I just see.
I don't think there's no one listed as not playing. There's
right.
Like we said, it's all top draft talent. It's national championship, undefeated versus undefeated. A lot of gumption on the line. A lot of. You win this game, you go down in history. You're a legend forever. It's not just about NFL contract just next year. You win this game, you're a legend forever.
Who won the last 3 years?
Well, I don't remember.
So after this year,
Clemson won last year.
Yeah, Clemson won last year. But if you go back, 5 years from now, Joe Burrow wins this championship. People are going to remember, oh, he's a Heisman. Yeah, I think they won that year. I don't know who else they have I just don't think people forget so quickly.
Not in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They don't. You get free crawfish gumbo for the rest of your life. You can live a long time on crawfish gumbo. Something with a really hot roux makes your feet sweat.
Joe Burrow dedicating this game to Ohio State.
That's not exactly his exact words.
But everything he says, I'm doing this for Ohio State. This Heisman goes to Ohio State and LSU.
I don't know. He said he shared it with Ohio State too. That was weird. I don't know. I think he just meant. I don't think he meant the university. I think he meant a lot of the mentors there that helped him get to where he is today.
Yeah. Let's go to. So you got a listener question, right?
Let's do the listener question. That way, on the Facebook Live, we can see if we get any feedback.
Yeah, we need help with this one,
right? Because we need listener feedback on this one.
All right.
When we go for a listener question we got today.
Who's it from? Where are they from?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
It's a Northern Virginian.
Okay.
Listener question: how can you get your significant other away from watching the game once you've lost interest in watching the game? So, say you're a Ravens fan and Derrick Henry's running all over your team, and your significant other isn't a fan of that game. Any suggestions from people listening out there of how can you get your significant other away? It was referred to a gender of how can women get men away from you, but let's say either way, it could go the other way around too. Any listener feedback on the Facebook feed for that?
Yeah, so we'll post that question on the Facebook page. But yeah, willandmarkshso@gmail.com.
Keep your answers interesting.
Yeah, if you have any suggestions, males can weigh in too.
Yeah.
What do you think? You got any thoughts on it?
I think if So. There's compromise. We need compromise in all relationships. But Sunday is a sacred day for a reason. I mean,
so what could Rebecca do to entice you to stop watching the game? Let's keep it PG here.
If it's like this game, like what's the value of the game? I mean, there's compromise. You cook dinner one night. Okay, we get more time watching the game. Compromise.
I can tell you one thing.
Never go to bed angry. That's important.
It didn't take my wife much of any energy to not make me watch the games on Sunday after the Ravens lost Saturday night.
Yeah, I
needed a day of rest, day of mourning.
I can see that. So what are your feelings on the Baltimore Ravens defeat after a fantastic season? Nothing to be taken away from playing a great football season. But what are the takeaways from the end of the season with the loss? What were those down feelings like? What'd you go
Yeah,
for?
It was a bummer, right? I think on the last episode I said Ravens are a lock. There's no chance they lose to the Titans.
Maybe you cursed them?
I don't think I have that power, but definitely some overconfidence there.
Okay.
I think that's rule number one. No matter how good your team is, you still got to come out and play. I think my main feelings for the whole year was that there wasn't a team that if the Ravens played their game that they would lose to.
Sure.
I think the Titans did a good job of getting under our skin a little bit. I've never seen Lamar jaw back and forth with the opponents after first down plays. He was like swatting people's hands away, like people were roughing him up a little bit after swatting their hands away, not just running back to the huddle. And I think he got under his skin a little bit. He wasn't throwing the ball very well. He was throwing some ducks out there.
He almost, and I know it wasn't pure confusion, but he at times looked perplexed that like he didn't he was just shocked that he couldn't believe what they were doing. Wasn't quantifying to points. He had a good game statistically, but I just kind of saw in his face. It wasn't like he knew how to take it. And this is a young quarterback. We're going to see him grow in the league for many years. But at this point in his career, he didn't look like he knew how to make changes or direct the team in the way that we'll see him grow as a leader at some point. I mean, just comparing him to Mahomes. Mahomes looked like when they went down, like his direction went to this guy's got to be here. This guy's got to be here. Lamar looked maybe lost in a big moment. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it all on Lamar by any means. I mean, his first interception was to Andrews. Ball slightly high. I mean, Andrews maybe got off the ground for that. I mean, it looked like he lost his footing a little bit. That should not have been an interception. It should have been a nice chunk play for first down. We're driving on him. He lost a fumble early in the game, which is unlike him this year. Last year, he was losing the ball all the time. Mm-hmm. But this year, he's been pretty good with the ball. I don't know, running game wasn't good. Mark Ingram was hurt. Gus Edwards had a few chunk plays, but
couldn't stop Henry. They were literally. You ever play a video game where you just try to put everyone in the box to stop something? It's just like they were putting everybody in there, and they couldn't slow them down.
The one thing I will say is from Raven perspective that I actually like Derrick Henry a lot. The Titans are just very, very unlikable to me. Like the way they were playing, they just seem like. Did you see the was it Sharp, their defensive back, after the game? He introduced Derrick Henry.
Tajay Sharp, he's a wide receiver.
Wide receiver, okay.
Represent University of Massachusetts.
So he introduced Derrick Henry after the game the same way that Mark Ingram introduced Lamar Jackson.
I saw the intro. I didn't realize that. I didn't even catch the making fun of it.
So it's taking a shot at the Ravens.
Sure.
Derrick Henry immediately said it's all jokes. Like he didn't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't like when Earl Thomas was talking about the Patriots and like how are you going to stop Derrick Henry? And he said, well, it didn't look like the Patriots were interested in tackling him. Did you see the play where Earl Thomas tried to tackle him?
Yeah.
Oh, stiff-armed him, turned him around, and then as he's trying to figure out where Derrick Henry is, he shoves him in the back again.
There's some running backs in the league that are fun to watch. I mean, you can't say that his talent is necessarily better than McCaffrey or Saquon's, but he's on a roll right now where it just seems so exciting to watch. Just like you just feel he's just bigger and stronger. And you're right. I think the Titans have a bully type of mentality right now. Put the chip on the shoulder of you're the 6th seed, and we're going to come up and we're going to smack you in the mouth.
Well, did you see what Yanda came out and said?
No, I missed it.
He said that he's never been disrespected as much as he was in that game. He said somebody on the defensive line spit in his face during the game.
Really?
Yeah, he was. And
that's some Albert Haynesworth
13-year career. He said I've never come out and said something about this like a player, but this guy's got to change.
Oh, I wonder who it was.
Yeah. So things like that. I think
was an old Romanowski move.
Yeah.
Steroid control. He's a big spitter. Roberto Alomar.
But because of that, I'm not a huge Titans fan. I want to like the Titans. We both thought they're very good.
Right.
I actually expect them to give the Chiefs a run for their money, if not beat them.
Who you got in the game?
I'll go Titans. Just the way they're playing. I don't think that the Chiefs can stop them. The Titans' defense is a lot better than people think. They figure out a good game plan. Mike Vrabel seems to be a very good coach.
Yeah. Very well coached. And Mike Vrabel is a slap you in the mouth kind of guy too. He just looks like he looks like if
is he a first-year coach?
No.
How long's he been there?
A couple.
Okay.
Maybe 3. He looks like if somebody goes down with an injury, he could throw on the pads and maybe smack some people around himself.
Oh yeah.
I've heard stories about him actually getting involved in practice plays. What about the other games? Did the look like the Chiefs were done for? I was saying, like, I really think this is going to be a good game. I think that Texans can take advantage of some of the injuries and make this a good game. The Chiefs feel like if everything goes wrong, they can handle it.
Well, yeah, so watching the Ravens game, we got down early. I never thought we were out of the game until the fourth quarter. And then it was, like, so frustrating to watch. It's just like, do I have to sit here and watch this? But Chiefs, same way. Like, when they went down 7, it was like, that's not a problem. 14, still, they're good to go. They went down 21, and I'm starting to think, okay, I know how they're feeling a little bit here. Felt this way with the Ravens.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Chiefs fans were still at that point in the first half, of course, thinking we got a potent offense. We're going to turn this game around at any time now.
Mahomes sort of reawakened and just showed us the greatness that he is, probably the best quarterback in the league right now. And it kind of reminded me a little of that Christopher Walken speech. You know, he kind of was in a like the lion in Africa. He was in the slumber, and the lioness have been coming in and pulling at his ears, and the jackals start to move in, and he's sort of in his slumber. They're eating all his food, and it's hot, and he's in Africa, and he's resting under the tree. But one day, the lion gets up, and he has to show everybody that he's the king of the jungle. And he runs like the wind, and he rips the crap out of everyone. Mahomes looks like when he wants to turn it on, he's the king of the jungle, the old Christopher Walken speech. And I think that's what he showed. Like, hey, I'm coming. I'm turning it on.
Yeah, that offense has so many weapons.
I'm picking him to win it.
Really?
Yeah. Mahomes I don't know.
You had the 49ers up to this point. Chiefs showed you that they're unstoppable now?
I just saw the lion wake up, man. When I saw the lion wake up, it scared me.
Yeah, I think you got to be crazy to think that the Titans can't play with the Chiefs at this point.
But here's the thing. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Chiefs, and they put up 51. There's no way the Titans are going to put up 51.
Yeah. I mean, just the story of the Titans to beat the Patriots, take down that dynasty, then take down the best team in football that year.
Yeah.
And now they're going into the Chiefs, taking down
they seem to have the chip on their shoulder, but there's something about –
but every game they still have that chip on their shoulder. It's not like they're –
Well, they have, but have they reached their peak? Do they celebrate a little too hard this weekend, taking down the champs, you know? Chiefs look like they've, their lull put a little chip on their shoulder too.
Yeah. What do you think about teams getting Like the Ravens had 3 weeks rest. Their starters had 3 weeks rest before playing.
It's always a topic.
Titans are playing
Three's
two
probably
meaningful games.
It depends how. For Mark Ingram, he probably could have used.
He
He probably
needed
could have
it.
used 8 weeks, but maybe for Lamar, young guy, maybe.
They showed a stat during it, like teams that rest at least 2 weeks before a game were 9-6 going in as a 1 seed. Now they're 9-7.
But that stat is swayed by the fact that the teams that are able to rest are probably better teams.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, like,
and you're playing the weakest.
so if you switched it, would the not rest have even a better number than 9-7? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's situational. Could be right one way or another.
Vikings go down.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins. You like that?
he don't like that.
Yeah. It was a day game. You asked me last week, was it a night game? Because he's historically known for not winning big games, especially at night. It was a day game he won last week. If that means anything. Doesn't
I guess
really.
it doesn't.
But yeah. So, and then you got the Packers won last night against the Seahawks. I guess there was a controversial. I wasn't watching too much of that game, but a controversial first down play.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Aaron Rodgers getting the revenge game going back to San Francisco. He says he's never gotten over it. They took Alex Smith 1 overall. San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers expected to go in the top 3 and fell to 21 to the Packers. The rest is history. 49ers have not won a Super Bowl since.
Can we talk about Marshawn Lynch for a second?
Sure.
So he's on the team for what, 3 games?
Yeah.
Loses this game.
Yeah.
Is found in the locker room celebrating with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know the context. We don't have a picture of how much he was celebrating.
Can't be much good context. And maybe you send a text at that point.
I think I'd be upset if I was a teammate.
Oh,
but,
yeah. No
I
way.
think if anybody gets away with it, it's Marshawn Lynch. He's
Yeah.
lovable. He's the Skittles guy. He's only on the team for 3 weeks. What's loyalty in football anymore? It's all about contracts. Sure.
Does it make you like him any less? For me, it does. A little bit less. Immediately after, I could see that's your college teammate.
No, I wouldn't. I would not condone it or do it myself. But he's a 34-year-old running back.
Yeah, but if you're truly invested in that team, you should be emotional.
His other comments were similar in saying when you're in the league, make sure you get your. Did you see these ones?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the league, make sure you get your chicken. I think he was alluding to just get paid. That's what the NFL's about. So,
like if I found out Mark Ingram went into the Titans locker room and celebrated a little bit with Derrick Henry, I would be furious. I'd say, get him off our team next year.
But what about after game? So, like, where do you draw the line? Because after games, I always think it's a little weird. Your team loses and they go do that jersey exchange thing.
Yeah,
that's not unsimilar. You're right. In the locker room, if there's like champagne popping, I think that makes
made an effort to go into their locker room, like knowing that it's going to be, like you wouldn't want to be there.
Well, I don't know enough about it. You don't know if he has tremendous respect for the guy. And he just walks in and he gives him a good a good handshake and says, "Congratulations, Aaron, you played a great game," and walks out. That's not the worst thing in the world. If he goes there and he's like actually enjoying in the festivities, that's ugly.
Well, we were trying to think about, just imagine just knowing what we know about Aaron Rodgers' personality, Marshawn Lynch and his personality. You see them being great friends in college. It seems like they have kind of a very different personalities.
The only similarities are both really outside the box, but they're both weird introverts too. Like Marshawn not wanting to talk to the media. I think Aaron probably feels the same way about talking to the media, but just doesn't have the. I don't think State Farm would stand for him not making any comments. So,
do we think Aaron Rodgers still a cancer to any team that he plays for?
No, dude, it's freaking Aaron Rodgers, man.
Beginning of the year, all these experts are saying Aaron Rodgers is a cancer. People don't want to play with him. He's not good for the offense. It's all about him.
Come up time and time again. It is all about him, and he has enough to make you win. So if you're on the team with him, maybe you do feel that way, or maybe you just go along for the ride and try to get a Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a tough game. So you got Packers going to 49ers and the Titans going to the Chiefs. Both spreads starting out at 7.5 points. Yeah. No, it should be good games.
I think it's been a great year of football. I think we're going to get more good games.
Very unpredictable.
I'll take the home teams this week, but good games.
Moving on. Astros.
No score here. We're saying there's going to be a lot of offense in this college football game. Nothing going on yet. Astros, yeah.
Yeah. So Astros get in trouble. They do the investigation. trying to figure out if they were actually stealing play calling and were they using technology to do this. They come guilty, and they put out the punishments today. So they suspend the general manager and the head coach for the Astros.
Yep.
They take away all the draft picks for next year, and they fine the organization $5 million. The Astros owner immediately comes out and says that suspensions are not good enough, will not tolerate this, and fires Hinch and the GM for the Astros.
I think that's weird that he punishes other people for things that he might be involved in. Like, he didn't come out and say, instead of the penalties aren't bad enough, I'm going to fine myself an extra $5 million. He's like, no, I'm just going to get rid of your jobs. Seems like a very power control freak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he even said a comment like, while we don't know if they were the sole responsibility for it, if they were to be blamed for it.
We don't know if he is. If he has any responsibility.
But he said the fact that they probably knew something about it is not what this organization stands for.
Of course.
Yeah, it seems a little bit.
They had to know something.
Right.
But
so
he might have too.
also did too. Yeah, that's what makes it a little strange.
It seems like everybody knew everywhere.
So I'm assuming if they get suspended, they're probably not getting paid for 2020. But I'm guessing their contracts, if they're past that,
they would. I don't know how coach contracts
So the owner's probably eating some of that, unless he can.
Coach's contract the same as players? Everything guaranteed?
I would think if you get suspended, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
But after that, I'm guessing the owner's going to lose some money on that when they're eligible 2021 if they still have contracts.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless there's probably something. I'm sure he talked to his lawyers.
Sure. And
said something about like, hey, breaks their contracts somehow.
And Alex Cora's getting pulled in it with my Red Sox now too.
Yeah, because he was a bench coach or a coach with the Astros in 2017 when they won the World Series.
You can't imagine that if he won a World Series as a bench coach in 2017, goes on to take a head coaching job as successful his first year, that he didn't bring along some of those same ideas. But how do we not have video evidence? If everyone's doing a little something, how come the Astros the only one have video evidence?
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know. Keep searching. We'll see what it turns up.
Yeah. Anything else? Kind of a short segment. I can't think of any other major things we need to.
No, good.
Bring up. Looks like Clemson scored. They're on the board, 7-0.
Clemson's in. Trevor Lawrence runs one in. It's a big boy.
Yeah. So the listener question again: how can you get your significant other away from watching the game once you've lost interest? This is from a female's perspective. So we'll post the question online. You can also email us, willandmarkshso@gmail.com. Also email us any patient or listener questions that you have related to physical therapy or health. We'd be happy to answer those for you. And we'll go from there. Over and out.
Great. What a great podcast.